In the mystical kingdom of Tibara, where silver rivers curved through emerald valleys and mountains whispered ancient songs, there reigned a wise and kind ruler named Kandor, whose compassion was as legendary as the magical creatures said to dwell at the edges of his realm. For days he sat before a great parchment map, brow furrowed, eyes fixed upon the blue line of the sacred river that wound through the heart of the kingdom. And his son, Prince Shalu, standing nearby, finally said with a gentle smile, "Father, you've been staring at that map for 3 days. The parchment might catch fire from your intense gaze." Kandor sighed deeply, lifting his tired eyes. "Shalu, my son," he murmured, "our people grow desperate. The luminari at the river's source demand greater tributes each season. Our treasury grows thin, yet their appetite for treasure grows fat." At that moment, Saran, the prince's loyal friend and companion, chuckled softly and said, "Begging your pardon, your majesty, but have we tried asking them nicely? Maybe they just need to be asked politely." The king's eyes softened for a moment, though his voice carried the weight of centuries. "My dear Saran, these ancient beings have guarded that river since before my grandfather's grandfather was born. They speak only the language of tribute and tradition." Shalu's gaze did not waver. "Then perhaps it is time someone learned to speak their language properly," he said, his tone both bold and kind. Kandor straightened at once, shaking his head. "Absolutely not. No son of mine will venture into the domain of the luminari." Shalu smiled, the mischief and courage of youth flickering together in his eyes. "Then it is fortunate I am also the son of my mother," he said softly, "who always taught me to help others in need." Saran grinned. "He's got a point there." The two friends shared a knowing glance that seemed to seal a promise. "Saran," the prince said quietly, "do you ever feel like we're meant for something greater than palace life?" The friend raised an eyebrow. "You mean greater than your daily attempts to convince the kitchen staff that chocolate cake qualifies as a vegetable?" Shalu laughed, but his eyes glowed with sincerity. "I'm serious. Our people suffer while we live in comfort. The luminari hold the key to our kingdom's prosperity, yet no one has tried to truly understand them." Saran nodded slowly. "You know, my friend, you might be onto something. What if these creatures aren't the monsters everyone believes them to be?" "Exactly," said Shalu. "What if they're just misunderstood?" And so, beneath the watchful stars of Tibara, two young hearts made a decision that would change not only their lives, but the fate of two kingdoms. That very night, Saran knelt with exaggerated formality and said, "Your Highness, I formally request permission to accompany you on this potentially foolhardy, definitely dangerous, and absolutely necessary adventure." Shalu extended his hand, smiling. "Permission granted, Sir Saran, though I must warn you, we might encounter creatures with scales, terrible breath, and questionable social skills." Saran smirked. "So basically like your grumpy Uncle Norbu at family dinners." They both laughed, and the sound of their laughter echoed down the quiet palace halls like a spark of hope. "Very well," said Shalu, rising. "At dawn we begin our quest to the river's source." "Together as always," said Saran. "Together as always," the prince replied. 3 days later, the two young men climbed through the misty passes and thick forests that guarded the sacred source of the river, carrying not weapons but hearts full of faith and hope. "Remind me again," Saran grumbled as he stumbled over a root, "why we couldn't take the royal carriage to Magical Dragon Avenue." Shalu laughed. "Because, my dear friend, respect must be earned through effort. Besides, look," he stopped suddenly, pointing toward a grove of glowing trees. "They're beautiful." Hidden among those trees were two great beings, their luminous bodies shifting with every breath, their eyes reflecting the light of distant stars. "Brother Viridis," said one, "I grow weary of this endless game of tribute and fear." "As do I, Arum," replied the other, his voice like the rustle of wind through leaves. "For centuries, we've waited for someone to speak to us with kindness rather than terror. If only they knew that a simple touch from those oak branches would free us from our ancient binding spell." The two creatures sighed. "And imagine their surprise," said Arum, "if they learned our greatest gifts, that one who shares a meal blessed with our golden essence speaks treasures of gold. while emerald essence grants the speech of precious gems. Shalu and Saran exchanged a look of wonder. "They want to be freed," whispered Shalu. "All this time they've been prisoners, not tyrants." Saran grinned. "Like I said, criminally misunderstood." The prince stepped forward and called out gently, "Noble luminary, we come not as conquerors, but as students seeking wisdom." The air shimmered as the luminary turned toward him. "By the ancient winds," said Viridis, "at last, someone who speaks with respect rather than demands or tribute." Aram's great wings trembled. "Do you think they might actually be here to help rather than take?" "Great creatures," said Shalu, bowing deeply. "Our kingdom suffers not from your power, but from our own ignorance. We wish to understand, not to conquer." The forest grew still, the river hushed as if listening. "Young prince," said Viridis softly, "for I sense royal blood in your veins. We have guarded this sacred source not by choice, but by ancient magic that binds us here. A simple, gentle touch from those oak branches you carry could break our bonds and set us free to return to the celestial realm where we belong." Shalu bowed again. "Then it would be our greatest honor to help you, noble luminary." He extended the oak branches toward them, and as the leaves brushed against their shining forms, the air filled with a golden light. "For your kindness," said Aram, "receive this gift, the essence of our very being, that your words might create wonders. But remember, younglings, the magic lies not in the treasures, but in your words. Speak with kindness, wisdom, and hope. That will fare you well. Speak with compassion, for words have the power to heal hearts, inspire courage, and transform the world itself." And with that, the luminary rose into the night sky, their luminous forms fading among the stars like drifting lanterns, leaving the two friends awestruck beneath the ancient oaks. That night, under the gaze of 1,000 stars, they prepared to test the luminary's gift. "So," Saran said skeptically, holding a small pouch of shimmering dust, "we just sprinkle this emerald dust into our dinner like seasoning, and suddenly I'll speak precious gems?" Shalu laughed. "Perhaps. The luminary did say the magic responds to wisdom and kindness." They tasted their food cautiously, but nothing happened. "Well," muttered Saran, "that was anticlimactic. Maybe we needed an instruction manual." Shalu looked thoughtful. "Wait, Viridis said words have power to heal and inspire. Let me try." He closed his eyes and spoke softly. "I wish for gold to help heal my father's worried heart and restore hope to our people." The air shimmered, and golden coins fell gently from his lips. Saran's eyes widened. "What in the world? It worked." Shalu smiled through his astonishment. "It responds to the kindness in our hearts, not greed in our minds." Saran placed a hand over his heart. "Then I wish for emeralds to bring prosperity and joy to every family in our kingdom who has sacrificed for others." Jewels of green light sparkled before them, not for hoarding, but for sharing. "The luminary were right," said Shalu. "The magic responds to compassion." Their journey continued, and one morning they came upon a quarrel beside the path. A group of villagers argued fiercely over an invisibility hat, each claiming it for himself. "We all want it," shouted one, "but can't decide who deserves it most." Shalu smiled kindly. "Fighting over something that makes you disappear seems rather ironic, doesn't it?" The men paused, puzzled. "Perhaps instead of fighting, we could find a way for everyone to benefit," Shalu suggested. "May I propose a trade?" One villager scoffed. "What could you possibly offer that's better than invisibility?" The prince spoke softly. "I wish for enough gold to ensure each of you can pursue your dreams without worry." Instantly, coins gleamed at their feet. "Incredible!" cried one man. "With this gold, I can finally open my bakery." Another wept. "And I can buy medicine for my village." Shalu smiled. "Everyone wins when kindness leads the way." They left the hat behind for others to use in times of need, carrying only the warmth of gratitude. Not long after, they encountered a band of dwarfs arguing over a pair of old boots. "These 7-league boots belong to whoever's shortest," shouted one. "No, whoever has the longest beard," cried another. Saran intervened. Gentlemen, perhaps your boots would be better served helping someone travel the world, spreading joy." The dwarfs blinked, then grinned, moved by his sincerity. In gratitude, they gifted the boots to Saron, who passed one to Shalu. "You take the right. I'll take the left," he said. A mismatched pair for a perfect duo. The magic of the boots responded to their shared purpose. "Let's wish to go where we're most needed," said Shalu. In an instant, wind roared around them, and they found themselves standing in the heart of another kingdom, a place veiled in sorrow and uncertainty. "Strangers," said a woman dressed in mourning silks, "you arrive at a most providential time. Our beloved ruler has journeyed to the eternal realm, and we seek someone with wisdom and a generous heart to guide us." Saron bowed. "Ma'am, what makes you think we could help your people?" She smiled faintly. "Our ancient prophecy speaks of leaders who possess not just magical gifts, but words that heal and inspire. Can you show us such wisdom?" Shalu turned to his friend. "Let me observe these people first," he whispered. "Perhaps we can better understand their true needs." His eyes moved over the crowd until they fell upon a young woman distributing food among orphans, her kindness radiant and unselfish. "This girl," he said softly, "she serves others with the same heart my mother had. And that young man by the fountain, he teaches children letters with patience and joy. These are the hearts this kingdom needs." He stepped forward. "People of Serendia," he declared, "I wish for gold enough to ensure no child in your kingdom ever goes hungry and no elder ever feels forgotten." His words glowed, and coins rained like sunlight through the air, bringing cheers and tears alike. Then he added, "And I wish for emeralds to fund schools where your children can learn not just letters and numbers, but kindness and courage." The people knelt, awed by his generosity, and he turned to the kind maiden. "Please, help us distribute these gifts to those who need them most." She bowed deeply, eyes shining. "Your words carry more magic than any treasure. They heal our despair and awaken our dreams." The people lifted their voices in unison. "Long live King Shalu! Long live Grand Saron!" And so it was that two friends who set out to free their king from worry now found themselves ruling a new realm, not through conquest, but compassion. Under their guidance, Serendia flourished. Villages thrived, trade returned, laughter filled the streets, and the rivers sparkled as if blessing the land. Yet Shalu and Saron never forgot their home. They returned often to visit King Kandor and Queen Lyra, bringing gifts of joy and wisdom, and sharing prosperity between the two kingdoms united by love. "A year ago," Saron mused one evening, gazing at the stars, "two mythical beasts gave us impossible gifts only because we showed them empathy." Shalu smiled. "And their lesson still guides us. Speak with kindness, listen with heart." Nearby, elders told stories to children about the young kings who could speak gold and gems, but who valued compassion far more than treasure. These two, the storytellers would say, speak what they mean and mean what they say. From the first day they set foot in Serendia, they changed everything, and in the hearts of the people, the legend grew that the prince with the golden mouth and his friend with the emerald heart had taught the world that the truest wealth lies not in the jewels that fall from your lips, but in the happiness your words bring to others. One evening, beneath a golden twilight, the luminary reappeared at the edge of the river. "Young king," said Viridis, his voice filled with pride, "you have learned the greatest truth of all, that words spoken with love are more powerful than any magic. You freed us from our prison, but more importantly, you freed your people from despair." Shalu bowed low. "Noble luminary, we are forever grateful for your wisdom and your gifts." "Then carry that wisdom always," said Arum, "for though treasures fade, the light of kind words never dims." And as they rose once more into the heavens, their golden glow spread across both kingdoms, blessing the rivers and hearts alike. From that day forward, every word spoken in Tibara and Serendia was measured not by eloquence, but by kindness. And the world remembered forever that true treasures are not the gold and emeralds that flow from one's lips, but the joy, comfort, and courage that flow from one's heart.